Another dream about him.
that side and they'll destroy you.
No one would miss me.
All right, squad.
Hello, hello.
Hello, my friend. Let's get this window clicked on over here. Achoo! Well,
Look at us not having any audio issues, I don't think.
hang on,
Maybe
but I
spoke
got.
too soon.
I grabbed. Is it over here? Oh, here we are. I grabbed the wrong tab. It was in the wrong spot. So, hello, everybody. Welcome to our stream today. I think we got audio. I think everything's working. So,
Hello, hello.
for once in our life, we can not have an issue starting up. So,
Beautiful. Beautiful.
all right. Well, it is our Friday stream. I wish I had another cup of coffee. I don't have one though.
I just brewed mine.
Nice, man. There's something about saying brewed, by the way, that just makes it sound like it tastes better. You know, we're like, I just brewed a cup of Joe, as opposed to like, you know, I poured a cup of coffee.
And I definitely don't deserve to be using the word brew because I just pressed a button on a Keurig. But you know,
Hey, you did the work, all right?
thanks.
So
I appreciate that.
yeah. How are you today, my friend?
I'm good. It's Friday, which is always nice. But I've been slow rolling today, so haven't accomplished as much as I would like to. But you know,
I'm with
now I
ya.
got my coffee. We're hitting the stream. I feel like I'm gonna hit a flow state after this. so,
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Get a little Zen state, get some work
Yeah.
done, you know?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
churn through.
Fingers crossed. You know, might
Yeah.
just veg out, but
Yeah.
hopefully. How about you?
I'm doing all right, man. I didn't get much sleep last night because I what was I saying? Oh, I stayed up late to finish Critical Role last night.
Oh,
And just thoroughly enjoyed that episode.
it was a good app.
Did
Good app. I
you?
finished it as well.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna ask you if you stayed up. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, good app, good return. We'll have more to talk about, but
Yeah.
I will say, as spoiler-free way as possible, I'm glad they're finally dealing with something they should have dealt with a long time ago. So it's a good time, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't expect that to kind of take center stage in this episode, but
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Kendra says, got a new kitten, named her Delilah, wondering if I should take it back. Yes, but not because of the name, because it's a cat. So, are you a cat person, Will? Do you like cats?
I wouldn't say I'm a cat person, but I do like cats.
Okay.
I used to dislike cats, but I had a cat found me and changed me.
That's right. This is very on brand for Will, by the way.
Oh yeah, we lived together at the
Yes.
time.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a very peak Will thing. Will just one day had a cat in his room. You know, we were roommates. I was like, hey man, you got a cat? He was like, I do. So
It came into my life for about 2 weeks and then he went his way. But his job was done. He converted me from a cat hater to,
he
I'm
was a
chill with
nice,
cats now.
yeah, he was a nice cat. What happened? Did you like put him outside? Like, what do you mean he went on his way?
Well, so we found him at the Lynx
Yeah. Okay.
apartments, and like the night we found, there's lots of strays, and some cats that even have owners are just like allowed to free roam.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
did my due diligence for like a few days trying to find his owner over there, and never did. And he didn't seem like a stray because he had like certain behaviors, like he knew how to use a litter box and stuff.
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. Domesticated.
So I was like, well, let me just chill with this cat until I can figure out something else. And then one day he just never came back. So, he ventured into the next person's life, I suppose.
That's kind of sad.
I made my peace with it. He was a tumbleweed,
Yeah. You had him for a season.
Yeah.
What was his name?
We named him Cuddy Guru.
Okay.
I didn't name him that. But
Okay.
Brian did at the time and it just stuck. So we called him Cuddy.
I'm all about it. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Well, we got a lot to get to today. We got a lot of things.
You don't want more cat lore? Are you guys sure?
More of the Pixelus lore. We got a lot to get to. We got to talk. I think we need to talk a little MCU today. Talk a little Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
A little Doctor Doom. I think we need to chat a little about that.
Getting back to our roots.
Back to our roots. That's right.
The
I guess
MCU stuff.
was Loki our very first?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I couldn't remember if it was that or EXU. I mean, Okay, yeah. Back to our roots. We used to cover every show before there were like 12 every 2 days. So now it's hard. But I want to talk also today a little bit about Bungie, which I don't know if you're in the loop or not, but there's some stuff to chat about there. And then we got to do a little giveaway action. And my friend, I'll let you pick the order today.
Of like what we do?
Yeah. A lot of power in this decision.
Yeah, I know. I feel like we should leave the giveaway for last. That way we have to force everybody to sit through our mundane conversation about the NCU.
People are like, oh gosh, I wanted to get off this stream. Now I have to stay on it. Okay.
I'm interested about the Bungie stuff because I don't think I've heard what you're referring to.
Well, let's do a little Bungie lore for a second. As someone who's been playing, well, on and off playing Destiny 2 for several years now. And I have a friend of mine his buddy works for Bungie, so he's been kind enough to get me a free pass to each expansion that comes out. Now, one of the things that has always been said about Bungie is that it's an extremely monetized game. So all of there's no like, as far as I know, there's not like a bulk purchase. It's not like WoW, where like when you buy the latest expansion, you get everything leading up to it. Mm-hmm. You have to buy everything, all of it. And there's been a lot of content now at this point. So like to buy everything is a lot of money. And I think they did have some kind of like package, but it was still a lot.
Weird. I didn't know they did it that way.
Yes. On top of that, seasons cost money. On top of that, there's something called dungeon keys. So whenever they release a dungeon, you have to pay to unlock the dungeon. So it's behind a paywall. It's not included in. Now you can buy a certain bundle to include it, but for me, none of this mattered because again, I had the friend of the friend who worked for Bungie that I didn't have to like deal with this pain point.
Right.
But so there's been people for a long time who've been very frustrated about the pricing around Bungie. And then as you probably remember, Bungie used to be part of Activision Blizzard. They bought themselves out. There was all of this positive energy around like maybe Activision had wanted them to do Destiny 3 and like, kind of all that Bungie or the Blizzard stuff we don't really want to get into, but it's kind of stereotypical Blizzard. Well, as the story goes, Bungie was running out of money, and so they were acquired by Sony. And this is a fairly large team, I guess around 1,000 people too. All that to say, skipping ahead, getting not too in the weeds, in recent months, the rumors have been that there was a lot of pressure for this most recent expansion, which they were calling like the end of the saga, basically like 10 years of Destiny in the making. Like this was called the final shape, all that stuff.
Yeah.
The rumor was that everything was riding on this to sell well. Otherwise, Sony was going to threaten a hostile takeover, essentially. Like, we acquired you guys. Y'all are not making any money, all this kind of stuff. And on some of this, too, is like the previous expansion, Lightfall, was pretty badly panned, which I played it. There was some really cringe dialogue and just like, it just wasn't a great expansion.
Yeah. But they weren't making money even with over monetizing everything.
Right. Which doesn't really, this is like where there's a big gap there, where it's like, how do you guys over monetize so much and yet struggle so much? And also, I mean, you played Destiny at some point. There's really today not another game that matches like the feel of playing Destiny from like the gunplay. I
don't know what I'm talking about.
Okay, please.
Isn't there one that like just came out that's like supposed to be like a big Destiny?
First Ascendant, I think is what you're talking about. And I only know about this because I have a small Discord chat with a couple other Destiny guys, and one of them is playing that, and he's been talking a lot of good things. And I think it's free to play also, by the way. I don't know if that's true.
It's a similar situation. In another Discord I'm in, there's some people that are playing it that are really liking it, I think.
Yeah. You're in another you're in another Discord?
No.
After I just mentioned my own other Discord. Like, wait, what? So anyway, I always like to say not to be long-winded after being very long-winded. Not to be long-winded.
It's
Yeah.
fine.
30 minutes later, most recent expansion apparently did not sell well. Apparently sold worse than the previous expansion, despite all the marketing and they did a lot. They brought back Nathan Fillion, who plays Cade Six. They brought him back and like the voice actor. I don't know any of the story stuff there, but didn't sell well. Apparently Sony began their takeover. 200 people were let go this week, unfortunately, which is, I think they said 17% of the workforce, which right then and there, like that's a very devastating piece of news for a company.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the other things that have created a lot of negativity around this is two things. One, rumors is that they've totally shelved all content plans and downsized content plans. Now going down to what they're calling like 2 bite-size like seasonal pieces per year. So people are using the word maintenance mode, which I don't know how true that is. But separately, the other data point is on top of these massive layoffs, the CEO has apparently spent $2.4 million in the last 2 years alone on luxury cars. And so, you know,
Nice.
yeah, right. Nice, man. And apparently a lot of like people have been let go, have been saying really like hostile things about how toxic it was working there. There was one guy who tweeted that basically said like, hey, you took me to see your luxury car collection 2 days before you fired me. You know, F you, like,
Yeah.
it's not a good look for a company that's like, and also other influence come out is that the company was like on the brink of insolvency, that they misrepresented their books to Sony when they were purchased. And that's what then led to this big blowout of like Sony being like, we're going to take over if y'all don't become profitable. And all that to say, it's not a good, things are not looking good for Bungie right now.
Yikes.
So, immediate reactions. What do you think about the saga of
They
the former Halo
bought
maker?
themselves out from Activision Blizzard to become Activision Blizzard. You know, I mean, I wish I could say I was surprised, but it feels like that's pretty much the norm these days. You know,
Isn't it weird that like we're at an age that we see like these game companies that eventually become, I mean, Activision Blizzard, you made the comment a second ago, but like Bungie probably rode on the coattails of Halo for quite a while. And then Destiny 1 was a really, well, it didn't launch very well, but Destiny had like a really pretty incredible following to it.
I wonder if it's a similar like story of like the people that built it from the ground up like aren't the ones in control of those decisions anymore. Like, is it one of those types of situations where like it became the suits that it lost all its soul, basically?
Yeah.
Maybe that's not what happened in this case, but I feel like that's just what continuously happens with these like, you know.
Yeah. And then this isn't the first time also. I mean, Bungie was in the news a few years ago when they introduced sunsetting, where they basically, most of the content that, I shouldn't say most, a large amount of content that was in the game, they shelved it. They like took it out of the game and basically said like it's too much to manage all of this content. So they got rid of a bunch of content, which left many people feeling a certain type of way of like, I paid for that stuff.
Yeah, and then
Like,
you still have to pay for it if you're new, right?
I don't
You'd
think
have to retroactively pay for all that.
I don't
stuff
know
too?
if, well, you can't get that stuff anymore. So I don't think you, I think what they made, they came out with like a free to play or like a cheap version that was like up to what they had shelved, I think. But then they did also re-release that content as new content, like, you know, Vault of Glass again, you know. Anyway, it's too bad. Hades Black mentioned in chat. I'm just going to say it. That's why they need to unionize. That's the only way to protect the workers. And Relevant, Blizzard just did unionize.
They did?
They did, yeah. There was a big headline of, I think it was across a few different teams. I think it was artists, I shouldn't. Actually don't even remember. I know artist, a large number from the art division, is part of that. So, yeah. I guess the outcome of this conversation is darn. I don't really know where to take it other than just I thought this was interesting. And the reason I mentioned Intel is because Intel also just laid off 10,000 workers. Their stock prices are down 30% today because of, from what it's been communicated, a lack of Q&A or QA, shipping chips that were malfunctioning, then not being willing to offer a way to fix them, basically being like, hey, we can fix it to prevent damage in the future, but we aren't going to replace the old chips. I think now they're doing some kind of like extended warranty or something, but I don't know, man. I think about me as a dad with like my 2 kids who are so optimistic and like naive. And I think about us as gamers. You kind of think about like those young days where like you had those companies that you really adored and loved. And like now we're at an age where we're seeing companies like, I don't know, victims of their own greed.
I think that'll happen for them.
Yeah.
You know,
I think so.
I think also it's just, I mean, not the part, probably, I don't know how to phrase this actually, but I think that will still exist. It'll just be, and I don't know what I'm talking about, but you know, like Minecraft, I know people love that.
Yeah.
Epic with Fortnite, people love that. I don't know if those companies are like good or anything, but I think there will be the next generation's Blizzard, you know. Maybe not though.
What's the version of that for us today?
What do you mean? Like which ones?
Like what are the companies that we can like hang our hats on and be like, that's a good company, I'm going to support them no matter
video
what.
Games specifically?
Yeah. What would that be for you?
Yeah, that's tough. I would say that, you know, and of course, you know, no, I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of dirt somewhere. You know, not everybody is practicing with the utmost integrity, but FromSoft has had pretty good track record with, you know, putting out a good product and not like, you know, nickel and diming you. And CD Projekt Red had a big kind of flop with Cyberpunk, but they fixed it. And, you know, I would say that they've had a pretty good track record as well.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more hesitant with them, but only because of like the cynic in me. I almost said the narcissist in me. I was like, wait a second, that's not the right. The cynic in me, just to kind of see. But you know, it seems like they have turned around, similar to like the No Man's Sky devs. I think they also have some pretty positive phrasing around. Jonathan Eldridge mentioned Larian Studios. I think
it still needs to play.
Huge accolade to that company for being so like outstandingly pro consumer that other developers are mad at them.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just like, you know, don't hold us to that standard. It's like, okay, guys. Yeah, let's go ahead and spend $100 on your game and get an update like in 8 months for, you know, content that should have been there from day one. But anyway, so
I also, this isn't really the same subject entirely, but I don't know any of the reason why, but I just before we got down saw a tweet from Game Informer that they're shutting down.
Oh, wow.
And I thought that was kind of sad because that's been like a staple.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I can't remember if we talked about this on the stream, but I was talking about this with someone else of like, it's a weird age, which for everyone listening and watching, we're in our 30s. It's a weird age of like things you grew up with, like seeing the full life cycle of something. And like one thing I can't remember if I talked about this with you or not, but Damn Good Pies shutting down.
Bro, I get mad about that like every week. Oh, I miss it.
So this is a pizza joint that was, I feel like was just so like electric from the time it opened. It was just a really good pizza joint, and had multiple locations, and then they shut down. They shut down pretty quickly. Like once the Little Rock location went down, the Fayetteville one wasn't shortly after. But so we saw this business appear and then 20 years later go out of business. So, you know, and not that every business needs to exist forever, but it's kind of it's weird to see that happen, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Kevin Figgins mentioned Supergiant Games. They make Hades. That's a great game.
Yeah.
And you also gotta. I feel like we gotta give a nod to the indie developers, like the one-man indie devs. Who's
Toby Fox.
Who's Toby Fox?
He did Undertale and
Oh,
Deltarune.
that's great. Yeah, and I was thinking of the guy who did Terraria, and then the guy who did man, what's the other really popular one? Stardew Valley.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Concerned Ape. That's Terraria, right? I think. And then I can't think of the Stardew Valley's dev. One of the two of them, I don't know which one it was, tweeted basically very. they made it very clear, like we're not ever gonna. Oh, Concerned Ape is Stardew. My bad. But very candidly, they were like, we're never going to be like basically chasing the dollar in the sense of like charging for like endless DLCs, microtransactions, what have you. And by the way, I think if anyone's listening and like maybe you're a dev of some kind, like I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong. Like Elden Ring, for example, they came out with their DLC. There's nothing wrong with being like, hey, yeah, it costs this much. And I think the comments I saw around the DLC for Elden Ring was that the file size was like almost as large as like the base game or like something crazy. Yeah, something crazy like that. So like stuff like that, I think there's nothing wrong with someone getting paid for their work. But having said that, there is something admirable about, I mean, the Terraria, I've gotten so much mileage out of a $7 purchase that continues to endlessly get updates, by the way.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's kind of admirable, and I kind of wish more companies were like that, but
Yeah, I think that's the future, is more indie games.
I hope
Like
so.
the AAAs will always exist, but like it's just becoming so much easier and easier to make your own game, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
You kind of wonder like what the place will look like for AAA games, because like what the industry will look like, because it's so many millions of dollars of development time, and it's pretty rare you play a AAA game that is actually
Worth it.
Yeah, amazing, right?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the last one before Elden Ring that I played.
I mean, and
I haven't played Baldur's Gate.
Right.
Would you consider that a AAA studio?
Yeah, it should be considered a AAA studio, just from like pure.
I want to play it. I haven't played that one yet, so that's why I didn't name that one.
Yeah. I was gonna say something else about that though. I really dislike, and I don't want to get like down a rabbit trail, but like I hate how often AAA studios uses games as a service or live service as clever marketing for unfinished or content to come, or we missed our deadline, so go ahead and buy it and then next year. And I really like where Diablo 4 is today, but that's also a really good example of what I mean by that, of game released. I enjoyed the campaign. I'm glad I bought it, but naturally a year later, a lot of the things that probably should have been in the base game ended up coming, down the road. So, but
I'm not so glad I bought D4. I don't think it was worth it, but I haven't played it in a long time, so I've heard they've made a lot of updates.
Yeah.
Also, I can't, because of where like the heart icon is on the chat. I can't see the game you said, Jake. But is that Gris?
Yeah, he said Gris. Yeah.
Yes, that was one of my favorite games I've played in the past, however long.
I've never heard of this game.
Bro, you got to play it. And the sequel's coming out.
Okay.
I don't know if it's this year or next year, but soon. I'm very excited for it.
I'll play Gris if you play Hollow Knight. It's Hollow Knight.
Oh, I do need to
okay.
I haven't beaten it.
Yeah,
I put like 7 to 10 hours in it.
Yeah, okay.
I do plan. I bought it on the Steam Summer Sale so that I could play it on my computer.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, bro, it's like $5, I think. So you should get it.
Yeah, okay.
It's really good.
Well, let's move on to, for the sake of time, a little MCU dialogue. Was this at the San Diego Comic-Con that this reveal happened? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So, at the San Diego Comic-Con, I guess there was a Marvel panel, or maybe I don't know if you want to share about this better than I can, but
I didn't watch the panel itself. I just saw like the news. But yeah, I'm sure you guys have seen it if you keep up with that type of thing at all. But they announced that the next two Avengers movies, Doomsday and Secret Wars, are going to be directed by the Russo brothers once again, the same guys who did the Captain America movies and Endgame and Infinity War.
and a couple
And then also,
episodes of Community too, by
yeah,
the way.
yeah, yep, and I think Arrested Development too.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
And but they also announced that Doctor Doom will be played by Robert Downey Jr. He's coming back. So that was like the big crazy news. And I've seen some very mixed reactions on this. My gut reaction was I thought this was really cool. And I'm interested to see what they do with it. But what I'll say before you go, what I'll say is if the angle that they're going is that he's like a Tony Stark variant, then I hate it. I like it if that is not part of it at all and he just is Doctor Doom and like it's just he's playing two different roles in the MCU. But yeah, if it's like Tony Stark that became Doctor Doom, I'm not a fan of that.
Why do you like it?
I just think one, he's a great actor.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I first and foremost would want for that type of role. Two, I think it's a really kind of like big swing for him. He clearly is getting paid boatloads of money. Let's just get that out there, like obviously. But like for him to like want to come back and like try that, I think is like a cool like test for the actor. Like especially if he wants to like completely delineate himself from Tony Stark, which again is ruined if he's a Tony Stark variant, which is why I wouldn't like it. But yeah, I just think it's cool that he like wants to take that chance, I guess. And I think he's a good enough actor to do it.
True. And props to him knowing like his backstory. I mean, he's set for life, and playing Doctor Doom probably only furthers that, makes it sound like an unfair. I don't mean it in a negative way, but you know, he's getting well paid for his talent. So I mean, good for him.
And he's somebody that clearly like would care about it,
right?
Considering he was the birth of this thing. Like, I don't think he would just come for a payday and to like cash his check and leave. I feel like for him to like actually be willing to step back into it, he would like be wanting to do it right.
It's like what was the movie from Sony recently? The Spider-Verse movie.
Oh my God. Madam Web.
Madam Web. And they like interviewed her about like Spider-Man characters, and she was like, I don't know. So my agent told me to take. She didn't say that, but you know.
Plus the Russo brothers, they've proven themselves.
Yes.
So like I do think that they're trying to do well by this.
Yes. Yes.
But what I'll say is I've heard some people say that it's a misdirect and that like he will be Doctor Doom, but like he won't be the real Doctor Doom. And there will still be like another actor that's going to play like the real one. Which I don't know how I feel about that. If they pulled it off right, I think I'd be okay with it. But
what is the history of misdirects in the MCU? Because all I've really
I don't know
seen,
if they've ever done anything like this. Like if this was a misdirect, I think this would be the first time they've like, you know, had this big reveal of this is who the actor is. But I mean, we've had with the multiverse open, we've had, you know, John Krasinski played Reed Richards, and now Pedro Pascal is going to be the real Reed Richards.
And we had Sir Patrick Stewart in as unfortunate a film that was, him entering the MCU. So I mean, yeah, there could be something, a slight, not a slight, a subtle, something happening there.
Yeah, like because the like Secret Wars is all about like this big multiversal battle with like all the versions of these people from all the different universes type of thing. So since the first Avengers movie is called Doomsday, like I'm not saying this is what will happen or even what I want to happen, but I saw some people were speculating that like the first Avengers movie would be with Robert Downey as Doom, and then like towards the end you would find out that he is just like one of the Doom variants, and really there's like an even higher up Doom that was orchestrating things, and that leads into the full-on Secret Wars. And you know, maybe that Doom is played by somebody else. So
is this going to be, and maybe you know better than I do, is this going to be an Avengers 1 and Avengers 2 scenario where like they're released close together, but they're not it's not a continued story, or is this more of like an Infinity War in-game situation where it's a two-part
I think
story?
the latter, because Secret Wars, like Doctor Doom's a huge part of that. So like the fact
Okay.
that it's Doomsday into Secret Wars, I don't
Okay.
know if it's like as connective, where like Infinity War Endgame was like there was no like time jump or anything. Well, there technically was a time jump, but
Yeah.
like that was basically one movie in a way. I don't know if this
Yeah.
is the same or
Yeah. Okay.
what. I don't know if they've said.
I have seen a theory that I guess in one of the comic book stories, Doctor Doom. And apologies that I'm butchering this, by the way, guys. I'm just recollecting a random theory that I read. But Doctor Doom like assumes the role of Iron Man, and I don't know if it's because he becomes like good. It seems like he becomes good or gets joins the good guys, I guess.
Yeah, there's like two stories like that.
Yeah, so
one where Doom like becomes Iron Man, but I don't think that's what they'd be doing here because he's Doom, not Iron Man.
Yeah.
I
mean,
and there's another one where. Sorry, what?
Well, I was going to say there was a rumor like 3 years ago about a possible RDJ return to Iron Man, like bringing him back, and then there was like a lot of we maybe even talked about it on the podcast of like, what does that do for like the ending of Endgame? And so like, could this be a way to bring back Iron Man to the MCU? I don't know.
I think especially since he's gonna be there as Doom, I think he definitely shows up as an Iron Man variant in Secret Wars, like at least for a cameo.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think he'll be the one that we've seen, because I don't like, if he comes back, I think it has to be like a variant Tony Stark, and it would just like defeat the emotional impact of that moment if that version of him came back. But so yeah, there is a moment where Doctor Doom becomes Iron Man, like fills that role. But then there's also, I think it's a what if story where Doom and Iron Man like brain swap. So like Doom's brain is in Tony Stark's body. And so some people think maybe that's what they're doing here. That like, oh, it's Tony Stark, but really it's Doctor Doom.
It's like,
that's why he has like RDJ's face.
It's like Face Off.
Yeah.
So
basically,
it's funny the movies that you love as a kid and then you watch them later and you're just like, ooh, this is not.
Have you seen it recently? Does it not?
I saw it. I like maybe a couple of years ago, and I was just like,
oh no. Oh no.
You sure do realize after the fact how zany Nicolas Cage is.
Bro,
so
he's the GOAT though.
Yeah,
I haven't seen any of these movies in forever, and maybe I should keep it that way. But like, The Rock,
that's true.
Classic.
Yeah.
I would have said Face Off,
but have you seen The Rock recently?
No,
because we're just pulling back from our childhood of like that being the movie we watched.
Bro,
like
I have that on DVD.
I know, we watched it a lot. So
it was a great movie.
Yeah, Sean Connery. So anyway,
yeah.
I'm not so excited about. I'm open to it. I got a lot of trust in Kevin Feige, but I don't know. I feel like Marvel just hasn't really been that good in a long time.
I agree.
And it almost feels like, in case of emergency, break glass. Like, who can we?
I agree.
We've just seen so many different IPs, like, basically ride the nostalgia train because they can't come up with anything like new or interesting. And so, because I've seen so many other companies do this, I don't know if this is something genuine, like pure brilliance, or if it's just riding that nostalgia wave. And surely, hopefully, they're aware of that too. Which
they gotta be.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I do think it's an emergency break glass though, but I just have like a more optimistic view of it. I think because I think this is largely because of the Jonathan Majors thing, like because it was supposed to be Kang, and they had to pivot away from that. So I think that this was kind of like, how do we fix this? And
unpopular opinion, I don't think Jonathan Majors was that good of an actor either. I think the more I saw him in Loki, the more I was like, I don't know. So
I haven't really seen that much of his work, but I will say I really liked him in season 1 of Loki.
I did too.
Episode.
I did.
Like,
I didn't like him. I didn't really like him as the scientist in Loki season 2.
Yeah.
So some of his act was it was just a little too on the nose, I think, for me. But what the heck do I know? So anyway. Okay, well, Anything
Yeah.
else you want to say about it?
I don't think so. I will just say that everyone who does have a problem with it, like I hear you. I feel like it could go wrong very quickly a lot of different ways. I'm just hoping for the way that it goes right. And
Yeah.
then I think we talked about this, but I've seen Deadpool 3 and I don't think you've seen any of them, right? It's been getting, a lot of people have been raving about it. It was really fun, but it wasn't a great movie, is what I'll say.
Really?
Yeah, it was very much cashing in on the whole nostalgia thing you're talking about. And
Mm.
I feel like that's coming off as really like I hated it. It was really fun and I can't really tell you why without
Hmm.
spoiling stuff, but especially for like our generation. Um
Interesting. Okay.
but and you haven't seen the other Deadpools, so I would compare it very much to those, which they were fun. I enjoyed them, but I don't think they were great movies.
Yeah. Okay. Like The Rundown. Fun, but not a great movie.
Ooh, that's I feel like that's a different category.
Okay.
I know it's very nuanced.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Well, we have one question in the Pixelbits live stream channel, and then we'll move right along to our giveaway, and then we'll wrap up the stream because we're already pretty deep in it. Diego said, "Here's a question for a future live stream. If you had to DM a one shot or a short campaign for Critical Role in the style of Calamity or Downfall, what would be your pitch?"
oh man.
My immediate thought on this, I don't know the Exandrian lore well enough to know what other events there have been in history that
Yeah.
are similar to like the Calamity happening and like the fall of Aor, aside from like maybe the schism possibly, or like the end of the Calamity. But I am very interested on the ascension of the Matron of Ravens. There is so much just atmospheric vibes around this character and what happened and why did it happen and what happened to the previous god of death. I'm very keen to know that story, and I could see that being like a really cool like 3 or 4 part series that ends with the actual ascension.
Yeah. Dang. That's where I was about to go. Yeah, I agree. I think that would be really cool. Like you said, the schism would be cool just to see what was happening there. Even the founding, like the events of like right when the gods are showing up and what was going on there. I don't know like what you would center that around though. So like a big like story point that I think would be cool to explore would also be around the Chained Oblivion and like how they captured him and just like
Yes.
what is that thing? Because I think and we basically already knew this, but I think Matt recently confirmed that now that we know that the gods are from Tingar, that city, he said that yeah, Chained Oblivion's not from there. Like so like what is this thing?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
So maybe something around that.
Okay, that also tracks too with other like lore details around like, hey, the betrayers are crazy, but the Chained Oblivion is like literally like pure chaos.
we need to do something about him.
Yeah, that's a great one. I also am really interested. I think there could be like some really compelling stories around some of like the smaller stories, like Elixion, and Elixion going to oh man, what's the temple? Oh man, basically like a temple to the betrayers that Elixion raids to fight. I can't remember who. I'm pulling like such a vague data point here, but like it's basically a massive battle. There's like a huge price along, people's lives are lost, and I think maybe that's where he's gifted that item, like the necklace or something, or
yeah, like the Jewel of Three Prayers.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So some of those smaller story points I think would be really fascinating too. So
agreed.
Anyway. All right. Well, it is time. Let's get to the one shot. This is literally like your 8-second warning. It's going to take you. This is your warning to. Hang on. Let's see if I can get. Can I get this centered? No. Okay. We can. This is as best we got here, fam.
Oh yeah, the Happy Fun Ball story, like a Halas story, would be really cool.
Oh, yes. Yes. I'm going to do it on mobile because I can't get the stream set up for it. So you have like the 12 seconds it takes for me to figure out how to award the winners again, which I think it's just... let's see here. I just want to make sure I don't end it before I'm supposed to. How to award winners. I'm pretty sure it's giveaway end. So let's see here. Apologies, guys. I just can't remember all of a sudden how to do it. Okay. Yes.
Oh, good. People know by now not to come here for our our technical production.
All right. G end and then giveaway ID is... Here we go. All right, well, I'm going to hit this button, and then we're going to know who the winners are, good sir. So, best of luck to all of you, and let's see.
Is it going to show up in the channel, or is it going to...
It should. Yeah, it should show up in the channel. Yeah. So, yeah, here we go.
Let's do it.
Okay, so the winners are Link Izzard, Andy, who played in our last one shot.
Hey.
Kayla and her friends, Alex, Jersey, and Elfandriel. You 6 are the winners. Congratulations. And thank you.
Let's go.
Thank you for joining. So I will get the 6 of you added to a little special private channel. We'll start chatting about the one shot coming up. We'll have our session 0 soon, and then for those of you who want to partake and enjoy that one shot with us, it'll be Friday the what date was it? Friday the
24th,
23rd. 23rd. So, congrats to those 6 people. And of those 6 people, I'll DM you. But if you can just confirm that the dates work for you. That way we'll know if we need to sub someone else in, and we'll go from there. So if you didn't get picked, fear not. We will have another one in the future that you can be part of. And then also we do have the adventure board in the Discord where people are running their own games that you can jump in on. So congrats again.
Excellent. Yeah. I think that pinged them, right? So they'll know.
Yes, okay. It did.
All right.
So.
Well, yes, excellent.
All right. Well, I think that does it for today. A little bit of a longer stream. Thank you all for watching today or for listening today. And I guess our next bit of content will be our Calamity watch party Sunday, followed by our Critical Role episode 102 discussion. So stay tuned.
Yeah. And Worlds Beyond sometime.
Yep. All right.
Soon.
See you all.
Y'all.